Hey, what's up guys? Mario here. So this is gonna be a follow-up video of my previous video that I did showing some of the changes I did to my CNC. In case you didn't see, I'm gonna try to put a little link at the top if you wanna see it. But some of the changes that I did was change the support arms, the ball screws on the X and Y axis. The C still has the same ball screw, and adding sand to the whole CNC. One of the things I did actually change at the last second or just after I released the video was remove the sand from the gantry, because you want to try to keep the gantry as strong as possible but light at the same time if it's a moving gantry. If you make it too heavy, the inertia energy is gonna try to make the machine or the whole table try to move back and forward at the same time. At the same time, you're gonna need a lot of stepper power to move that much weight and keep it in the same place. I actually got a question too: is there a difference between putting only one ball screw, let's say in the middle, versus two on each side of the gantry? Which I didn't know how to answer it. Maybe some of you guys know how to answer that question. I'm not an expert. The other thing that I had to do is just temporary. Maybe I'm gonna have to buy me a brake or a stepper stop, something like that. I'm not sure how it's called. But to prevent my C-axis from falling down and hitting the table, after I realigned the linear rails, not perfect but really good, now my spindle tends to, when I shut down the power, it tends to go down and almost hits the table. So putting a spring once I'm ready to shut it down, it keeps my spindle from hitting the table and possibly maybe break any bit or something. One thing I did like about switching the support arms and switching my linear rails from the side to the top is that I made the holes a little wider. No bigger, but wider. So now that the screw sits right there in the middle, it gives me the chance to square my gantry really good, because it has that just enough plate. I didn't make it super wide, but just enough that I can move my gantry to where actually it's really square, and then I can actually tighten all the screws. So that's one change I really did like, versus the other way that I had it with the linear rails on the side. There was really no weight for me to try to tilt it back and forward. I had to maybe put like a shim on one, let's say on the front side, and then one on the back side to try to adjust it to either or side, you know. So that's one thing I did like about this change. The other thing, it seems to look or maybe even feel a little more rigid, since now the distance from the gantry to what's supporting the gantry, it's smaller. I'm not an expert, but I'm gonna assume that keeping this distance quite short is gonna make your overall CNC stronger. Is less chances of maybe flexing, tilting. So if you make a gantry really high and your support or your support rails really low, you're gonna have more forces trying to tilt it back and forward. So keeping this kind of small, it will improve on making your CNC more rigid. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you how it actually moves left to right, back and forth. The Z-axis, like I said, I didn't change the ball screw on it, so it almost sounds the same as before. Then we can compare maybe how the two ball screw sounds to the Chinese used to sound. So here's how the Chinese ball screw used to sound in the X and Y. So hopefully the microphone can pick up some of that, let's say some of the noise. I'm gonna move now the X. And that's not me lowering the volume on, let's say, the video later on. It's just, it's really quiet. The Y does tend to make just a little more noise than the X, but it's still relatively more quiet than the Chinese ball screw they used to have. Now just let me adjust this right here. And this is gonna be, this is actually moving at, it says 287 inches per minute, even though I set it to 280, but just moves a little faster, I guess. Same with the X, 288, 287. Now the X is just moving at 125 inches a minute. These servo motors can actually move it a lot faster. I did actually try to bump it up to 500, but it kind of scared me because it moves too fast that I feel like I can get in trouble really quick. If, let's say, I'm trying to maybe set up a piece and I lower my bit or something and then I move it, I can actually crash the machine a lot faster than at 280 inches per minute. So now we're just I'm gonna place the aluminum, and then I'm just gonna do some side cuts and some surface cuts just to see how it actually cuts, and then I'm gonna try to cut a reservoir just to see if it actually did improve on the surface finish there too. Okay, so right here is the pieces that we just finished cutting, and let's see if I can get a good shot on the. So this was the x-axis, and it's really smooth. I don't feel no ridges, no imperfections, let's say. So that's really good. Okay, now let's see if I can. Now right here on the, this will be the y-axis. It almost looks like chatter, but it's not chatter, because I have seen this before, and before I even changed my screws, it had the same finish. It had the same finish, but let's say a little worse. Let's see if I have a piece that maybe still has some of that. Okay, look right here. Let's see if I can get it. Okay, so the same, let's call it, it's not chatter, because it don't matter if I take a super light pass or a thick pass, removing a lot of material, it will leave the same ridges. So it has to do something with the ball screw. Let's see if I can get a focus right here on the front. Let me move the camera a little back. So let's see. Well, it's not kind of seeing it. But the front used to have the same, almost the same as the ones right here on the side. So I did actually improve on the x-axis. I mean, even the way it sounds on the machine, you barely hear the ball screw move. So that shows me it was the ball screw. And right here is really good. Right here is still a little not bumpy, but you can see, and if you kind of feel it, you might feel a little bumps. So I'm just gonna have to double check on the ball screw. But as for surface cuts, let's see. As for surface cut, I mean, it's really smooth. I might need a little more trimming on the spindle front to back, since right here I can feel just a little step, let's say, from front to back, or the spindle being from side to side. That's, let's just say, it's kind of perfect. I don't feel no steps. It feels really smooth. Same right here, but right here I can feel a little more step. Here it's almost perfect, let's say. So surface finish it's cutting really good. I can just double check right here on the acrylic. Oh, so that's machine finished. I didn't do any polishing, I didn't do nothing, just the way it came out. And that's maybe not as polished or as clear, but it's really clear. But if I just noticed right now, if we look closely, no, let's see. Yeah, so if we look closely right here at the top, it looks really smooth, but from front to back it almost looks like chatter, but I'm gonna say it's something in the ball screw. So I'm just gonna double check that. But if I could get the ball screw to move as smooth as the one from the X, then all these little ridges or all these little lines right here that we can see, they shouldn't be there. So that's a big difference on acrylic versus, let's say, here's another something similar. So this one ain't quite as, let's say, see-through as this one. So can barely see the piece of aluminum, and here I can really see it. So I did improve on the surface finish. I'm not sure if it was filling up the extrusions with sand, or changing the ball screws, or moving my linear rails to the top, even though before I did have, on my previous videos I said I had a slight play on the screws. So every time I try to trim my spindle quite, let's call it perfect, the way the machine moves back and forward, it used to, let's say, lose that trim. So I never had, let's say, a perfect finish. And even though right now it's still not, let's say, perfect, I still need to adjust front to back, side to side. It seems really good, but I just need to double check my ball screw, and I think we should be really good. Here I just have another test just to make sure how accurate the machine was cutting. This is supposed to be 5.6, I believe. So let's see. Right here I got 5.6, 1,000 more. Yeah, I mean half a thousand. Here I don't know why it's less than 1,000, so I'm gonna say it's really good. Right here it's showing me, let's say, almost perfect or perfect. So this way it's cutting really good. Let's see this other way. It's supposed to be 1145. 1,000 less. Let's see. It's kind of hard to hold it. So half a thousand less, let's say. Yeah, so that I'm gonna say it's pretty good cutting on measurements, cutting really accurate. So this is gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can hit the thumbs up or leave me a comment if you have any questions about this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.